Growing Smarter, an educational video on combating urban sprawl with smart growth and land use planning.
A common success story in today's world is working hard, saving money, and living just outside of the hustle and bustle of the city. A place far enough to be away from the noise, lights, and distraction of a busy downtown. As more and more people seek this lifestyle, the suburbs become busy enough to be an extension of the downtown area, and living costs begin to rise in these suburban areas. As people move further from the city, long commutes become part of everyday life. This rapid growth into suburban areas is considered urban sprawl. Urban sprawl, according to the Oxford Dictionary, is the uncontrollable expansion of urban areas. In other words, very little thought goes into civil planning, congestion, infrastructure, or the future in general. A short 2.5 centuries ago, downtown meant a very different thing. The common areas would have been a well, an area for local food, and supply bartering. After all, a farrier needs grain and a grain farmer needs horseshoes. Instead of moving to the suburbs, a major sign of wealth and prosperity for a Canadian township in the mid-19th century was permanent buildings. Hamilton and Montreal were years ahead of their time, building their township offices and fire halls out of brick to ensure their permanence. This lifestyle had its ups and downs, but at the center of it all was a stronger sense of community. You knew your neighbors, you didn't always agree, but you respected their ideas, opinions, and most importantly, everyone helped when someone was in need. During this time period, there would have only been very few manufactory buildings in North America that employed more than a dozen people. After industrialization, however, that is a very different story.
The Industrial Revolution is largely accepted as the invention of large-scale technologies. Steam power allowed massive amounts of people and raw materials to be hoisted, compressed, and most importantly, moved across great distances. The spinning wheels and other mercantile inventions brought along the ability to make otherwise handcrafted supplies at staggering rates. Suddenly, shoes, pants, and weather-related clothing were available at costs that were significantly more affordable. More importantly, these factories and large-scale operations were highly profitable, paying very desirable wages to those who worked for them. Not only were there desirable wages, but there were mass-produced goods to purchase with these earned wages. As you can guess, people flooded into these areas. This perfect storm of innovation and migration patterns lead to unsustainable volumes of people moving towards a city center around these factories. Crowding was very quickly associated with domestically negative problems. Sicknesses spread quickly, crimes and violence rose disproportionately, and the sense of community eroded overnight. Today, several generations later, people are still drawn to an area's economic center, and it is still generally happens faster than accommodations can be made. Whether it is horse-drawn buggy pathways or fiber optic internet lines, a lot of work must be done to meet the needs of the people migrating into an area. The ideological situation mentioned at the start of this video, moving out to the suburbs for a quiet home life while enjoying the nearby amenities for metropolis and still the desired living arrangements for many families. The invention of the automobile and its affordability made commuting the new normal. Community transportation systems like buses and subways were no longer feasible across such large distances, and people began to rely more on their vehicles. Large detached houses skirted by large manicured lawns surrounded by similar houses is causing urban sprawl faster than ever before. Like the Industrial Revolution in many ways, the capabilities today to rapidly produce spacious modern housing over farmland have a devastating impact on the natural environment. Continuing this path is not sustainable. However, we do have other options. What if our dream scenarios included environmental considerations?
How we use the land as we expand our city centers is called land use planning. Land use planning may contain the secret to changing attitudes towards urbanization and preventing the negative effects of urban sprawl. Surrounding expanding urban areas with parklands, education centers, and strategically placing transit systems and other utilities such as waste facilities are just a few ways to mitigate the effects of urban sprawl. Land use planning helps to maximize the land itself, while urban sprawl segregates homes from commercial goods, work, and many other utilities. These urban sprawl areas can be very poorly planned, low density, and auto-dependent. This significantly impedes on the sense of community in these outside areas. A strategy to combat this is called smart growth. Smart growth involves creating a range of housing opportunities, including high-density housing. It also promotes alternative transportation, such as bicycles, walking, and buses. It enhances quality of life by preserving open spaces and the natural environment. This can create a very good sense of community for those living in the area. Planners and architects strive to build a community by combining residential areas and commerce areas, opposing the traditional economic downtown and residential outskirts, ultimately breaking the urban sprawl cycle. When residents can live, work, and relax in the same area, they can get back their sense of community. Where do we go from here? We know the current trend of urban sprawl isn't sustainable, but that doesn't mean we can't achieve our desired lifestyles complete with open spaces and a sense of community. Smart growth, land use planning, and education can show people that eco-friendly urban areas are an achievable reality. Mixed land use, compact design, high-density housing, and walkable neighborhoods afford us the distinctive and attractive neighborhoods we seek. Neighborhoods that encourage activity with preserved natural areas and gardens will create a sense of community and ultimately the ecological, sustainable future humans aspire to achieve.